Today we're going to have our OnlyLens review on this amazing anamorphic lens by Laowa. This is the Anamorphic 60mm t2.9 anamorphic lens that is a Super 35 macro lens by Laowa. This has been a very fun lens to use, and I wanted to go a little bit in details of kind of the boring stuff where it's a little bit of the specs to price point, but also covering the cool versatility things that you can do with this lens if you're wanting to get into some anamorphic lenses. Time to do the boring stuff, which is always the specs to price ratio. This lens comes in at $1,999, which for an anamorphic macro lens that has a good versatility seems to be a pretty decent price range from what I've been looking up online when it comes down to other anamorphic lenses. You will notice that the anamorphic lenses of price point for some other type of just anamorphic lenses could be a little bit on the cheaper end compared to this one, but they're not macro lenses that have a great, versatility when it comes down to being able to get up close, but also getting to get a little bit of the wide range of shots as well. So this lens provides a 0.5 times magnified image, which apparently the close focus distance is 9.45 inches, which is actually pretty cool because I was able to use it for a lot of good macro shots, whether it was closing up into people's eyes or as well doing things when it came down to doing the coffee little video that I made myself. The nice thing about this is that it has a t2.9 aperture, which allows you to have a good shallow depth of field with getting good focus points and compression with the type of focal length that it has, because it's a really great lens to have. A lot of the other ones that I've seen but I haven't personally used can be in the the t1.8 to get more of the bokeh kind of type of style. But with a 2.9, I felt like I was able to get quite a bit and also have some nice detail shots, especially the closer I got for the macro. This is a Super 35 lens, which means it's for like APS-C style, which at the end of the day, I used it with my Sony a7 IV. a7 IV is a full frame camera, but it does have the APS-C mode due to it having a bigger sensor in the sense of megapixels. So whenever you do the 4K 60 crop, because it does it automatically for it, I felt like it would have been fine to just simply use a Super 35 lens with the, kind of, I guess, APS-C mode of this camera to make sure to have enough, footage capabilities with the Super 35 without losing too much quality, but as well getting some nice crisp images. And yeah. The cool thing about Laowa is that with this one, it's a 1.5 anamorphic lens, and you're able to get a good enough compression with it. And as well, this one that I got sent to me to use, just to borrow, they didn't let me keep it or anything like that. But this is the E mount because I shoot with E mount, but they do have the PL mount and EF mount as well. So you can choose what you want to have for yourself. Since it is a manual focus lens, you're not able to basically have autofocus unless you do maybe the DJI like autofocus kind of rig setup that you can do, which I didn't. But that's enough for the good old boring part of this, of the specs. Now let's talk about more about how it felt to use it, since it was my first anamorphic lens to properly use, and as well what I got out of it, and eventually who could it be for and who could it be not for. So the first thing that I wanted to cover is just honestly how cool it was to use an anamorphic lens that was a proper cine lens for the first time for myself. This lens is a very, very interesting lens compared to what I'm used to shooting with. I usually shoot with my photography lenses like Tamron 35-150, the 20-40, Sigma 24-70, and so on. They're mainly for kind of hybrid type of shooting. They're good for photos and videos, but they're not cinema line type of lenses. You can see it in the difference of, for myself at least, the quality of when you're shooting video. It just gives it a different look, especially with the type of anamorphic look to the lens. Whenever you add it to the camera, it just looks different in a cool way. I honestly genuinely enjoyed this lens way more than I thought I would. I was excited to go ahead and work with Laowa into this lens, and we had no, I guess agreement of any sort of what I would say or what I wouldn't say. They just wanted me to test it out for myself and see how I liked it, and if I wanted to make videos, I could just go off with that. And I did. I honestly started using it just for fun. That it really made me want to make more videos about it because I enjoyed making, the videos that I was able to capture. I did a kind of, I want to call it cinematic short of doing it for I guess, coffee making to showcase a little bit of the macro capabilities that this lens could provide, but as well having a different variety of types of shots that I was able to make with this lens and camera combo at the comfort of my home to just get my first hands on the testing of it. I released it on my YouTube channel, so if you want to go check it out yourself, and as well the behind the scenes of how I use this lens, since it's already up on the channel by the time you're watching this. Now, something that I really thought I was going to get tired of, because I feel like most people get tired of it, is just the macro shots. Honestly, macro shots tend to be overplayed for most of the time, in my opinion, so I try not to really care for them too much. I only bought extension tubes, for example, for my actual lenses that I have, because I didn't care to buy a dedicated macro lens. But this honestly made me change my mind about that. I was able to get some different perspectives in a more cinematic feel of macro capabilities. Having an up close and personal shot, whether it was of coffee or the water that I was pouring into the thing for the coffee maker, or as well checking into the eyes of like my nephew or my sibling or anything of the sort, was really cool to me. It's something that we're not used to seeing all the time. So being able to do it with this type of lens where it looks very awesome because of the anamorphic look to it, but also the up close and personal feel to it, is just something that I truly enjoyed more than I thought I would. I thought that this lens would cover really great range because you can do the, anamorphic macro type of shots that wouldn't be as usual as you could, because this is, I believe, like the first macro anamorphic lens that they put out. But also you can do, your establishing shots relatively, because you just have to be kind of farther back, which it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to complain on that end, because it is quite nice to be able to have a good range from super up close to just kind of the distance. And it worked out pretty great. I took this with me to document the memories of my nephew's birthday, and I just wanted to use it to get more tests with it and footage and, having fun with it as I've been, messing around with it at home and everything like that before I had to do some travels. And it was great. I was able to document memories that made it feel like a movie, made it feel like cinematic, for that word that we love to use as creators, that it actually felt like I was shooting more of a movie type of memory, which is really cool to me. It really made me want to go out and document things that normally I wouldn't really want to as a photographer, videographer, especially with family stuff, because it does get kind of dull. You get asked to do it all the time. But this gave me a different feel that it just made it look that much cooler to do it that way. And I honestly was shooting with it the whole time, despite of this being a little bit heavier than other lenses, with this combo and just kind of going for it. And it just felt really nice to go ahead and use. Now, is it going to be the lens for everybody or for every, birthday outing or anything that you want to create memories with? Of course not. I think that this lens is a great lens to dive into if you need that macro capabilities of look for your filmmaking to become more cinematic feel of things as you're diving into anamorphic lenses. That's at least what I got from using this lens myself, since I'm not a cinematographer. I've never used, anamorphic lenses before, or cine lenses before using this one, where it was more like the proper way, I guess. That it really made it feel like I was actually learning something new. And if you're wanting to dive into using a anamorphic lens more now with the macro capabilities to get those different perspectives of shots, this will be the perfect lens for you. I think the price tag for myself is going to be the most part that'll take people, won't rub the right way with them, because it is $2,000. Where can you put $2,000 into lenses? Well, you could probably look into more cinema type of lenses where you might not get the anamorphic look, but you can add the bars to maybe make it look like it could be to a certain degree. It really is up to you. I'm not sure myself either, because I like both looks of cinema lenses and of anamorphic lenses, but they're very niche depending on what you want. So if you're looking to dive into more anamorphic lenses, when it comes down to having something that is very unique to a certain degree, where you can get the macro capabilities of shots, and as well as those, away shots with one lens where you don't want to have to worry about having to change lenses all the time, this would be a great lens to invest in. $2,000 can go a long way, but when you're getting that much of a range, I think with the focal length of 60 millimeters, but being able to be macro or farther away, it makes it feel like you're almost having a zoom type of lens, which is kind of nice to a certain degree. Well, I guess not having the actual zoom range because you have to move yourself, but you know what I mean. Anyways, now I don't think this will be the lens for you if you're gonna be first getting into anamorphic lenses, because the price tag alone is gonna be the one thing that's gonna make people that have never shot anamorphic lenses go into anamorphic lenses for that price point. There are multiple different cheaper alternatives that you'll probably want to get into first, but as you dive into it further and further, you're gonna have that hunger to get more lenses and different perspectives and looks that this lens will kind of be calling your name because of the macro capabilities that you can get out of it. That's just my input when it comes down to that, because there's just so much that you can do with one lens because of the macro capabilities that it really makes it a name for itself in the household that it is with Laowa's, Cine line of lenses and their anamorphic lenses. So ultimately, who is it going to be really for? Well, if you're already more into cinematography and you've been shooting with anamorphic lenses, I think you're going to benefit from a lens like this. You have the macro capabilities, keeping it at a 1:2 ratio, as well as shooting it at a t2.9, where you can get enough, bokeh and separation of your background as the more you come up closer, but then you're perfectly fine to do a little bit more with it, as well with, shooting it in Super 35 mode. Now they do have a, I guess a full frame adapter that makes it become a T4, which you only lose about one stop, which isn't too bad in my opinion from what I can tell. I didn't get it sent to me. I wish I would have gone to be able to test it out to give you my honest opinion of it, because I shoot full frame, so I've been wanting to know if I should get full frame super anamorphic lenses, or if I should go with a Super 35 lenses. But the Super 35 lens worked out perfectly. So if you're already more of an established cinematographer that needs a macro anamorphic lens, you already know that you're shooting either a Super 35 or not. So you probably know that. And who it will not be for, I guess, if you want to kind of tying it back into that, it's just for the people that are just starting with anamorphic lenses, to be honest. If you're just starting with anamorphic lenses, the price point on this alone, it's just not going to be for you to dive into to start. But if you have the budget for it, go for it, I guess. But I think you'll find different alternatives to start with and then make your way around this one to know if it's the right, lens for you. But that's pretty much it when it comes down to this anamorphic Super 35 macro lens by Laowa. It's a great lens. I love it. It was a lot of fun. It has been too much fun actually shooting with this, because it's a different feel and look to my videos that it's made me want to create more and have fun with it, which I'll have a couple more projects ideas that I want to do before sending it back to them, that I just enjoy myself to be able to use it for my videography, skills to be developed further. I've been wanting to shoot more cinematography type of projects where I have a different feel to my videos that I can, bring you along as the audience to watch it with me, feel what I'm feeling in the moment or what I'm trying to portray with a different characteristic because of this lens. So eventually, this has been the biggest debate for myself, is making myself know what type of lens I want to go into for the anamorphic or cinelite type of lenses that I've actually been talking with people on Threads about it often. So if you don't follow me on Threads, you should probably do that as well, because it's Easy Tire Creative, the same thing that I have on my Instagram, because it's fun to just talk with other peoples and just get to showcase a little bit more of the behind the scenes for you guys to see, and be able to talk about our likes and dislikes of certain gear, just to get ahead with what not to invest in and what's a good investment. So overall, very happy with this lens. It's a really cool and fun and has a great look lens. Really fun for my first anamorphic lens that I wanted to make this OnlyLens review for this lens right now, since I haven't done an OnlyLens review in a hot minute, just because I haven't had the time to test out other lenses. So it was really great to get the opportunity with Laowa to do so. But if you have any questions about this lens and things that I didn't cover, please leave a comment down below, and I'd be more than happy to give you any insight of what I can to be able to make sure for me to answer the questions that you might have, to make it easier for you to know if this is the lens for you. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.